Hello, and welcome to the third episode of Slow English with Kensington. I'm Cheska. I will speak English slowly about many topics to do with Britain and British culture. Listening and speaking are the best ways to learn a language, so I hope you can learn something from today's episode. Today's topic is tea rooms. Tea rooms are cafe-like establishments, which are a great place for people to experience some real British culture. For me, personally, this is my favourite part of British culture. Tea rooms were an integral part of the women's liberation movement and are today a place of tranquility and intellect. You can usually sit outside in the tea room garden, watching life go by whilst enjoying a pot of tea and a slice of cake. Or, on a rainy day, take your book and enjoy the gentle atmosphere. Now, some history of the tea room and tea drinking in Britain. Tea was first brought to England during the 17th century. Tea drinking gradually became a national pastime for the English. In 1706, Thomas Twining opened the first known tea room that still stands today in London. Although incredibly expensive, the exclusivity of tea made it fashionable, and by the early 1700s, drinking tea was a custom practiced by aristocratic and middle-class British people. By 1720, green tea, originally introduced into England, had been pushed aside in favour of black tea with milk and sugar. Occasions that revolved around the act of tea drinking were quickly established. Women of this era had limited opportunities to move around independently from their husbands or fathers, so invitations to afternoon tea at a friend's house or in a tea garden provided a space for them to feel relaxed. The richer women of British society began building special rooms and garden buildings where ladies could enjoy a peaceful cup of tea and cake whilst admiring the gardens. In the late 1800s, thanks to the invention of the bicycle, women were moving around cities more freely. But women still lacked many rights, and gatherings of women outside the home were impossible, as women couldn't visit bars or pubs. Tea rooms began springing up across the country. They provided public spaces that were women only. The suffragettes, who were women that protested for women's right to vote, were able to freely express themselves with like-minded peers without feeling silenced or censored. Indeed, tea rooms were not simply a place of peaceful discussion. There, women were able to voice their political protest and strong opinions. The spread of tea rooms across the UK facilitated women's bold fight for freedom, giving them a place away from men to feel empowered and independent. Today, in tea rooms, a variety of light snacks are served. Some savoury, such as sandwiches and crumpets, and some sweet, such as scones, cakes, and biscuits. When I think of afternoon tea, I think of a multi-layered cake stand. Each layer has different treats. One layer will have delicate sandwiches, usually egg or tuna or cucumber. The other layers will have the aforementioned sweets, shortbreads, cakes and scones, etc. However, these multi-layered cake stands are best shared, and they are definitely too much for one person. Lastly, the etiquette from the late 19th century highlighted how food and drink rituals were viewed as a central part of British cultural standards. These polite occasions became much more accessible as tea rooms, and afternoon tea was offered to the public more openly. As a result, the ritual moved from being an act associated with female sociability to an affordable treat that nevertheless retained an integral air of Englishness. Today, there are about 125 famous original tea rooms in Britain, and in London, most hotels and department stores have one. So I do urge you to go if you have the chance. Let me know if you have any questions in class from today's episode. And next time I will be talking about London. See you soon. Ta-ta!